Let's welcome on board now Rama Mohan Rao Amara, the MD and CEO at SBI Cards, and get a color on how the spending has been with the festival season now kick-starting. Mr. Amara, great to have you on the show. Let's start with the credit card spend data trend that we've seen for the industry. While on a year-on-year basis, we've seen a 45% growth. Month-on-month, though, there has been a marginal decline of about 3%. How is it that we should read this decline? Is it just on account of corporate spend fluctuations, or is it something else?
As you know, industry spends constitute both retail and the corporate card spends. While retail tends to be more stable as compared to corporate card spends are volatile. It can change from player to player, and for a player also, it can change in proportion. I think we need not read much into this, particularly the movement of industry spend from July to August. It's only marginally 3% negative. But for SBI card, spends have grown as compared to degrowth in the industry, largely led by higher transaction growth, which attests to the fact that our growth is more on account of retail play rather than the corporate card spends. Both POS and online, both are doing well in a number of categories. For example, point of sale, when we look at categories like apparel, electronics, jewelry, furnishings, etc., they are growing. Similarly, in online, it's largely on account of departmental stores and grocery, electronics, IRCTC, or what we call railways, and even food ordering kind of categories have contributed to good growth.
Sure. So let's talk a little bit more about the retail spend trends then, especially ahead of the festive season. It's actually kick-started. We've heard a lot about new cards, offers, etc. What's the trend that you're witnessing, and what's the expectation for the festive season?
Festive season is definitely critical for entire industry, and SBI Card also positioned itself very well by offering. I mean, we rolled out around 1,600 plus kind of offers by partnering with both online and offline merchants across tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 kind of towns. Idea is to give a rewarding experience to the customer and enhance their shopping experience during the festive period. We are quite optimistic that this year around, during the festive season, the industry spends will be much better than last year. And so will be the case with SBI Card. So we are very hopeful.
You talked about the transaction market share gain for SBI Cards. Let me also ask you about what you think the market share will continue to improve from here because of introduction of new cards like SBI cashback cards. And what kind of target market share are you focusing on?
As I said, corporate card spends will be volatile. They are more of a top-line game rather than adding anything meaningfully to the bottom line as compared to retail. So as stated in our June quarter results, we would like to have a calibrated play in the corporate card spends. The contribution of corporate card spends for us has come down to around 15-16% in July and August, which we want to take it back to the earlier levels, our BAU kind of levels of 22 to 25% over a period of time. So we will keep the watch on the market share, but we always aspire for a sustainable and profitable growth. Definitely, we will make all the efforts to leverage the opportunities, have partnerships with the right partners so that we can give a rewarding experience to the customer.
About the number of card additions, SBI market share increased by 100 bips month on month, but analysts believe that this is temporary, as they will also drop off because of new guidelines in September.
I think keeping the market share movement aside, I mean, I will talk about what has been our view around the growth. We articulated in the past also that we are targeting to improve the net growth, which was hovering around 200,000 on an average a few months back. We wanted to ramp it up to 300,000. So August, we were almost there. This is a culmination of adding more products, strengthening our digital acquisition channels, etc. But of course, when the market share movement comes, like a industry base got corrected on account of RBI's master direction, which states that actually any card which is inactive for more than 12 months will have to be closed in a month's time unless we get an explicit consent from the customer to keep the card. So different players are acting and taking their inactive cards out of the base. So will be the case with the SBI card during September. But our card model being a largely fee-based cards, traditionally our the 12-month active rate, what we call, is much higher. It hovers around 95%. So that means inactive card portfolio is only limited to around 5 to 6% at max. So whatever needs to be taken out of this inactive base by September, we will do that action. So yes, for 1 or 2 months, the base may be volatile, but we are focusing more on what is our aspiration for the net growth, because market share is a output, but the determining factor will be what is the net growth we are targeting. So we will continue to focus on that.
Morning, I wanted to understand if the MDR risk is now completely over because it has been a key overhang. So do you think that investors now should assess that risk as behind us?
I think the discussion paper has been released by RBI. The discussion paper talks about various scenarios for various payment instruments, including credit card. The additional costs for a credit card issuer as compared to debit card has been clearly mentioned in the discussion paper. I read it as more like an open-minded, encouraging kind of feedback from all the stakeholders. We have up to 3rd October, all the stakeholders will be submitting their feedback through the industry forums, and various stakeholders will be submitting. So based on that, RBI will evaluate and their final outcome will be based on that.
And what about the trends that you're seeing in spends? Can you tell us a little bit more? The average value per transaction, e-commerce spends, what about online spending categories?
Maybe I would like to focus on point of sale and online separately. That may bring about more nuances. Point of sale spends have been increasing. It has been a continuing trend since Q1. At least for SBI card categories like apparel, electronics, furnishings, etc., jewelry. These are the categories which have contributed well to the growth of SBI card in the point of sale category. All the key spend categories have witnessed a growth higher than the pre-COVID levels, including travel and entertainment. So we see, particularly because of the ensuing festive season, we see that there is a scope for good contribution from the point of sale category. Coming to the online spends continue to be robust. For SBI card, categories like electronics, departmental stores and grocery, railways, food ordering categories have contributed well. Here also, in all the categories, it has crossed the pre-COVID levels, barring international travel, which is still slightly subdued, but domestic travel, entertainment, and hospitality have come back very strongly. So these festive spends definitely add to the momentum. We are quite confident that the momentum will continue.
Now, of course, new card tokenization rules will also come into effect from the 1st of October. What have been the big challenges for you and the industry at large? How is it likely to pan out?
We are prepared because we operate on 4 networks, all the 4 networks. So all the technical integrations have been completed. We are in readiness. Our hunch is like largely the entire ecosystem is also ready. But with any significant kind of change being introduced in the system, there can be some minor hiccups here and there. But I think this will catch up and it will stabilize. Particularly when it is a measure aimed at enhancing the security for the customer or safety for the customer, definitely it will catch on. So we are prepared. It will be a smooth affair. That is what our view is.
Right. With that, thank you so much for joining us today on the show ahead of the festive season, where we've seen consumerism starting to pick up. These are the kind of trends that we are seeing when we talk about credit cards as well as online payments.